What's up, IGN? Joshua here with Roth to talk about the Arrow Flash two-part crossover we got this week. 2 episodes. The first one was The Flash, which was Arrow versus Flash. Oh, sorry, The Flash versus Arrow.
Yes. Get it right.
And the second one was The Brave and the Bold, which was the Arrow episode. This was an interesting thing to see on TV with 2 superhero shows on the same network that can freely cross over. God knows they've been referencing each other enough. But so what was it like for you to see, Flash and Arrow finally cross over?
I mean, I think that they were making a very decided effort to show the differences between these 2 characters. Now, we already know what the differences are, but sometimes it's true. It's like when you bring 2 things together, it highlights what they are as individuals even more. Do you know what I mean? Like when you travel, you learn more about where you're from because of the
like when you go to Paris. Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
Yes. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It got very pointed, which was fine to some degree, but it was interesting because it's like Ollie's reformed this year, but no, he's not. And that's what this was sort of pointing out. Yeah, maybe he's not so much killing any people anymore, but he still killed a lot of people. He's still willing to torture.
Yeah, still willing to shoot someone in the shoulder with an arrow and twist it to get information, which horrified Barry when he saw that.
It's true, but also, and I think that the second episode, the Arrow episode sort of pointed this out, is that it is a little naive for Barry to think that you're never going to have to do, you don't want to do anything like that. You don't want to resort to that choice, but there are people that are not going to answer you truthfully. Barry's well, he said he didn't know. He must not know.
yeah. Barry, he's also very new to the hero gig, and Ollie, as he pointed out, has been doing this for 8 years, and he's had to put through lots of crucibles that Barry has not had to go through yet, at least.
Did you like the Rocky training?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I really, they shot him in the back and stuff. That was great. The first episode was genuinely hilarious.
Yeah.
I was laughing every other line. It was really good. They really played up the humor of bringing these 2 characters and their supporting cast together, which I thought was great. So.
I thought it was too, and I actually really loved that moment as well because, again, it points out that, he's been solely relying on his speed to date, and I think that he made a very good point, that Ollie made a very good point to say, no, you've got to keep training, you've got to learn to do other things, you've got to keep getting smarter and better, otherwise eventually somebody's going to find weaknesses of yours and they're going to exploit that, which has already happened a little bit, but I did think it was hilarious when he shot him in the back. He's like, I heard you heal fast, you're fine. Suck it up.
Yeah, speaking of weaknesses, while I did enjoy it overall, I thought there were some really kind of weird things. And what sort of a big thing for me was that there wasn't a good overarching villain. When I heard crossover, I thought there was going to be one threat that's going to string through both episodes that they're going to have to deal with together to team up. But really, it was 2 very isolated episodes, and I could see why. I could imagine in the writers' room, they're okay, we want to, even though this is a crossover, we want to be able to make it so you can just watch Flash and be done, or you can just watch Arrow and be done, or you can watch both of them and they work together. But there isn't a requirement to watch both. But I think that they did it in a way that was very awkward, and it was hard to feel this was really a 2-part crossover event instead of just 2 isolated team-up episodes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that I sort of felt like the through line really was about kind of Oliver and Barry coming to a more of a middle ground, not entirely, but where Oliver got to the point where he was like, well, maybe I do want to pull back even more from some of the things that I've learned to do over time, to maintain even more of my humanity. Whereas I think Barry was like, and I've got something to learn from you as well. I liked the idea of bringing out rage in him because that's not an emotion that we associate with him.
Oh, and a quick thing.
Plus, that fight was awesome.
That was really cool, and I loved...
that was the best Arrow fight yet, I think.
Really? You think so? Well, you can add that to your list of best Arrow fights.
I have a list, and I thought of adding it to my list.
It definitely was really cool. I also like in the rage thing, and that villain only existed just to incite anger in him. They didn't even show him capture him, so that was sort of a thing I didn't like. But the rage thing in Green Lantern comics, red is the color of rage of the Red Lanterns.
Right.
So I thought it was really cool that they used that. Almost, Jeff Johns is one of the writers on the show, so you got to wonder if he put that in there as a little Green Lantern Easter egg.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, because I feel like that those Easter eggs are in there for comic fans very purposefully.
I was all about that Easter egg. and another thing is to go back to what you were saying. I really did enjoy like the thematic through line of both episodes. Of like, here, come to Central City, and here's what things are like here. And let's go to Starling City. And here's what much darker.
The Arrow Cave.
Yeah, the Arrow Cave.
Very, and again, you said this earlier, but that was like a very clear reference to sort of Arrow being the
poor man's Batman,
well,
sort of.
Batman on TV.
But no, we love this show.
Yeah.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But and they called actually the second episode "Brave and the Bold," which is the
Yeah.
classic like Batman Superman team up comic book. But you know, but again, so I thought it was very thematically like very strong, but plot wise, it didn't really make sense to me because you know they brought the boomerang over, and then it. Because I thought, oh, Captain Boomerang, who's a classic like Flash bad guy, is gonna like be the main villain that like makes them team up together. But really, they just went after like Rage Guy, and that was it for the Flash episode. Then they went to Starling City and did the Boomerang there,
Yeah.
which was cool and interesting and everything. But again, it didn't feel like plot wise it took advantage of having like the team up crossover. And then there was like the random Firestorm like cameo at the end to either further cement that. Like, what is this? Like, was this like really? Are you really focused on the idea that this is an Arrow crossover?
Yeah.
Because you're setting up like future plot lines for Flash. And then there was that woman who like walked up to Ollie again. That was like really awkward. Like, and they didn't even follow up in that in the follow up episode.
Well, I think that was a seed for the future because she talked to her kid, and I think
Sure.
the indication was obviously that she had his kid. She was his baby mama.
Yeah.
Secret baby mama.
Right.
Speaking of secret identities.
But to put that in the episode, I thought, oh, surely they're going to use that
Right.
in the Arrow episode, and they didn't. So.
Yeah, well, I think that they kept her there, though, so that I think that they were seeding the idea of future crossovers, that
okay.
basically these two worlds may cross over quite a bit. I would agree that there were some bumpy, it's kind of like they went there, and then suddenly it was like, well, we're just going to head back home to deal with the boomerang, you know?
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a lot of fun. And I think that what it did was sort of allow them to see things not only in each other, but the other characters on the show that the other one's not seeing. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, this guy's kind of weird. You know?
Yeah, Cisco was great in this.
Cisco was great.
He's the voice of the fans, obviously, and it's like, oh, this is so cool, and like asking like the funny questions that we would all ask, you know, if we were in that situation. So I thought that was really cool for them to do a very self-aware character.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that it probably would have felt more cohesive had they had a single villain and one big overarching storyline. But again, it's practically speaking, they've got to have it available and make sense for people that are only watching one show or the other. Mm-hmm, Most people we know are probably watching both.
Okay, so overall, you liked it.
Overall, I did, yeah. And I do think that they're probably going to be doing a lot more in the future. How about you?
I enjoyed it. Like I said, I was like laughing a lot. I had a great time. It was just so cool, just like a nerd level, to see these two characters teaming up, like, you know, learning from each other, like taking on villains together. So cool. When Barry like saved Oliver from the boomerangs of that spinning Flash move. That was so cool. That was awesome. Blew my mind. You know, and I feel like there's a lot of lessons to be learned of how to make it like a more cohesive, like stronger, like two-part product
Right.
in the, you know, it's like a story, like it could be a stronger plot to link them. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. I'm glad it's happened.
Well, maybe we'll see that in the future.
Yes, yes. So those are our thoughts on the Arrow Flash crossover. Let us know what you thought in the comments. And for all things Arrow, Flash, and superhero team ups, keep it locked to
This
IGN.
superhero team
This
up.
superhero team up.